Tommy Lee Sparta has been holding back nothing in his attacks against Masicka over the last few days. But nothing hit harder than the song he dropped last night that did so much damage to Masicka's image that it has the entire internet singing along and wondering if Masicka's career as the new generation dancehall king is over. It got so bad to the point that there is now a whole TikTok trend being started just to make fun of Masicka. And many people are asking themselves, how could this even happen and what was really in this song to cause all of this? Well, that's what we're here to dissect in full. The song starts off by saying, "Na oddball na kick, them call up. Which new king? A man crowned them a all up," referring to the fact that Masicka has been shying around his disrespect this entire war. Since the start of the clash, Masicka has claimed to be attacking anyone and everyone who's against him, but yet has carefully avoided calling the names of those people think he's afraid of, such as being very careful to not disrespect Vybz Kartel in any of these songs and also being afraid to call Alkaline's name directly. He also says that Masicka, in his attempt to be a king, is doing nothing but holding up the crown with his hands. Because like he said on the song Destroyer, Vybz Kartel's crown is too big to even fit on Masicka's head. So the only thing he can do is attempt to hold up the crown with his hands and pretend. Which he follows up on in the very next line when he says, "Funds them why you come out of the floor, but from the real goat you got hijack a chorus." Furthering his diss from the last song, Death Day, when he says that Masicka lives in his one flow like he's afraid of property tax. He's saying that the one time he decided to come out of his one flow, he has to steal a chorus from the actual goat just to make it work. Take which program? Boy, me no robot, me no beg friend in a war, you for focus. Telling Masicka that in no way, shape or form was he begging Alkaline for help on his last song. He was simply just pointing out the obvious fact that he was afraid of him because your badness bogus, show me I show you, me this who you afraid for loudo. Because not only did he openly show he's not afraid to diss Alkaline by calling him Brata Boss, but also we need to remember that Tommy Lee has actually stepped up to the plate and clashed Alkaline before. And to make it worse, this was way back in 2016 when he was way more relevant and practically leading dancehall. So if he had the balls to do it then and Masicka is afraid to do it now, then of course he actually does have every right to call this out. But speaking of callouts, Tommy Lee then goes on to start the first verse by making one of the sickest, most intricate counteractions I have ever seen in a war. You see, if you remember back in the last song, we broke down how Masicka said that Tommy Lee is fighting for a room in Vybz Kartel's house. So much so that Sean Storm walks his dogs, Nuffy washes his plates, and Tommy Lee is so much of a waste man that he sweeps Vybz Kartel's floors. But Masicka made a crucial mistake by assigning that role of having a broom to Tommy Lee. Because bro came right back in this song and says in a brutal flurry of 8 bars back to back, "If you see me with a broom and on a yard a sweep, at the broom where I wave in a ya can a beat. Them broom ya na leaning on a can a jeep. Them broom ya make people afraid of street. Them broom ya you can't tree make neighbor seat. Them broom ya trouble. Harbor beer police. A them broom ya travel we come off a sea." Saying that yo, anyhow you see me with no broom and I finna sweep in this. His rifles are so long and so intimidating that these are the types of guns that make civilians who watch the news not want to be on the street at nighttime. These brooms that he has cause so much trouble that not only do they harbor extreme attention from the police, but also they can't even be bought locally. They come from off the sea and are specially imported pieces of artillery. And he finishes off that 8-bar section by saying, "Me na laps in a war, me are the war machine." And funnily enough, he is saying all of this while holding a literal mosquito zapper in the music video, furthering the narrative that he's been calling Masicka a mosquito this entire war. But this isn't even close to the worst part. Oh no, because during the course of the music video, as Tommy Lee describes these events, he proceeds to show a clip of him and his friends sweeping, and I kid you not, a pair of Crocs outside of the door with his broom. And as funny as this is on its own, it's actually the ripple effect that's making this so devastating to Masicka's public image. Because not even 12 hours later, an entire TikTok trend developed of people playing the song and sweeping their Crocs outside of their house, showing that the people's favor just might be shifting in a certain direction that's not very favorable to genocide. Gunshot anyway me catch you now wacky dip. Any and grades when me mix pe me mali with. Making reference to the wacky dip dance, a popular Jamaican move that has become heavily tied to one of Masicka's big biggest songs ever, Tyrant, because he mentions it in the intro. Tommy Lee is saying that as Masicka leans down to do the wacky dip dance, the very second he comes back up, he will be met with metal and demise. But the next line is what actually replies to many of Masicka's "This is all at once." Henny and grades want to mix for me Molly with. Once again, not only openly admitting to his drug use, but also glorifying the extent to which he does it. Laughing at Masicka, who really thinks that dissing him about something that he was always proudly open about is going to get him any points in the clash. But here is where things start to get personal. Shot graze my data, a badness politics. Boy would do that? Disappear, poof, magically. Police are asked for the body for the family. Now, this is referring to the criminal case we broke down in the last video where somebody in the community of Flanker St. James shot Tommy Lee's daughter when she was just 6 years old. And Masicka said in his song Revelations, "Man shot your daughter, go defend that." Tommy Lee replies and says that even though his daughter was shot, not only was it just a graze, but also the situation was a random altercation between multiple people where innocent civilians like his daughter just happened to be caught in the crossfire, and nobody would ever dare do that to him on purpose, and that the incident was just an unfortunate accident of badness politics. But even though it was completely unintentional and the person who did it probably regretted it the second it happened, we still made a brutal example out of him, and just like that, one day he disappeared, and up to now the police still cannot find a body to show to his family. And of course, if you watched our last breakdown, you would know that all of this is confirmed facts about a guy named Eggman who was a primary suspect in the shooting of that little girl. And in all honesty, he did kind of snitch on himself there, but it was still an amazing response to what Masicka said. And after this, he attempts to discredit Masicka's badness once more by saying, "One bag of cussing and bad off and nothing. The Dan beat you up and your dog are Huggins. 438, new record are running." Saying that not only was Masicka physically beaten by a Don, but after that, he actually ran away. And ran away so fast that he broke Usain Bolt's world record of 9.58 seconds by doing it in just 4.38 seconds. Which, for those of you who don't know, is the name of Masicka's biggest album, 438. And he immediately followed that up with saying, "Only act bad palm Pro Tool plugin," which is the name of the software that almost every artist and studio uses to record their vocals. Saying that Masicka is only bad when it comes to his fake image on a song. An image so fake that in fact in the very next line he says, "Bait, nobody no hesitate for rush him. Pensef done him, the killers not trust him." Where Tommy Lee is saying that the real killers of Grand Spen, a well-known Jamaican ghetto, do not in any way trust Masicka as anybody of substance. Instead, he is nothing but a little bait, a punk that nobody is afraid to rob, test, or bitch up in any way. Here say I go obey a man, me not judge him, cause him have a demon and bug him. Saying that apparently he heard a rumor that Masicka was visiting an Obia man, but he actually isn't judging him for it, because he understands that he has a demon haunting him night and day, preventing him from having an ounce of peace. And of course, if you've been paying attention, the demon he's referring to is obviously himself. But he actually gets even more demonic when he starts singing the chorus, a catchy and almost creepy kind of nursery rhyme that's making the rounds on social media that goes, "Step, step, step, anywhere you step, death, 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 anywhere at any hollow point, marrow fly, mother cry." Emphasizing that anywhere Masicka goes, he will be found and dealt with swiftly, with no remorse for his mother's emotions. Rise up the war machine for cause a scene, a murder, me light my coal, my heart a freeze. Me show genocide says Sparta dark a theme. Corey, you must buy the goat they off a sheen. Circle the swamp, the cracks them gone back in. The rifle me clot it, part the water theme. Name dropping Masicka's manager Corey Todd and saying, "Yo Corey, you feel say a client of the goat? I must sheen you by the goat there." Because he is the fake, rip-off, knockoff version of the actual goat, Vibes Cartel. And also, when he pulls up to the swamp and circles it, both Corey, Masicka, and the rest of the Crocs are so scared that they run back in the water. But Tommy Lee is so ruthless that not only will that not stop him, but he will also be shooting his high-powered rifle into the swamp. And because of the extremely high power of the force and ammunition, it will part the water and expose the hiding place of these scared crocodiles. crocodiles. But speaking of people in Masicka's life, he then proceeds to fire one of the most disrespectful strays in the entire war toward none other than Masicka's baby mother Climax, who has apparently been posting on her Instagram stories since she was first name dropped in the song Destroyer, defending herself and Masicka. War get ugly, me no play fear your baby mother jumpy, a big man a war you know, go and go sit down bitch, boxing her away like an insignificant fly with zero importance, and continues dissing her and even her child when he says, me aim for kill and nothing nobody love me, and nothing do change when the son still a ton fish. Doubling down on the narrative that due to Masicka's love of material possessions that he will now pass on to his son, he too will be willing to do something strange for a piece of change. And goes on to say that not even these very material possessions can save him from the mental anguish that Tommy Lee has in store for him when he says, business fix, birthday never comfy, demon make your torment in your luxury. Saying that not even on his very birthday where he spent it in his $1 million house and cars was he capable of enjoying it and being happy. No, instead it was spent filled with fears and anxiety of what Tommy Lee Sparta would do to him as the image of Uncle Demon haunted his mind. Mobe a fi me place, show me a ooh for run me. No junkie, go drop in a your ma, Humpty Dumpty. Continuing to reaffirm his badness by saying that Mobe is still his domain, and since Masicka is so confident that he ran away, Tommy Lee is urging and begging that please show me who could have really run me from my place. Ma want you call name and show me right now. Call them, showing his confidence that nothing no go so, and then goes into arguably the most insane emasculation of this entire clash. I coulda wadu dancehall beating stick, beating from everybody where you're beefing with. Lengo fi buy gun, feel him slick, killer them take him money and beat him sick. Saying that Masicka has been physically assaulted by so many different people because nobody, and I mean nobody, is afraid of any potential consequences they could get from doing so because him can't do nothing. So much so that even when one of his very associates was given money to buy guns for him, instead the men took Masicka's money for themselves, beat him senseless and left him to rot. Now I have no clue how true this story is, but if even 1% of it is facts, then that is just crazy. Better you go in a war again. You got dead pon the day where you're born again. You better baptize demons off of them, slowly torture them, hear Javana beg. Calling Masicka by his government name, reducing him to a mere civilian and saying that he would be begging for his life, and continues into a sea of other responses to Masicka's song when he says, "Ma done pass forth and start again, which bank book richer than all of them?" Responding to the constant narrative that Masicka has had for every song that Tommy Lee is allegedly broke, and in Revelation when he said his bank book is empty. And anyway me book no, me a cause problem. Tarrus Riley better in your corner, friend. With that last line being a double entendre on one of Masicka's hit songs, Corner, featuring Tarrus Riley. The song goes into its creepy chorus one more time, and just like that, the song ends. And people, like I said, if you thought the reaction to the other songs was crazy, this song literally has people saying that the war is over and there is no way Masicka can come back from this. Especially since Masicka allegedly said that the last song he dropped was going to be his final song. And to make matters worse, Tommy Lee continues his trolling even harder because the very next day after the song was posted, he continued to troll Masicka's camp by posting a video on his Instagram of a young Joshish singing his heart out on stage before the fame with the caption, "To all my sexy ladies," and had everybody rolling with laughter. So let me just say this, if Masicka does not reply to this absolute bombshell of a diss, I am sure that his status as the GOAT of this new generation really just might be over. Because this clash is really a life lesson in perception. See, you'd never believe it, but this clash actually started off with Tommy Lee in the lower position because he actually had real dirt on his name. To have direct physical evidence of somebody bawling their eyes out on recording has to be one of the most incriminating and embarrassing things to the image of a bad man. Yet still, despite being the one in this position with concrete evidence against him, Tommy Lee is now winning the public favor. Why? Because no matter what Masicka said about him, he literally continued to not care. He is not taking this seriously at all, while Masicka continues to treat this like a serious war, fighting for his life and respect. Tommy Lee is treating this like nothing more than entertainment, as he continues to troll Masicka at every turn using lyrics, catchy choruses, ad-libs, Instagram story posts, and hilarious comment sections. And guess what? The truth is that as long as you keep the people entertained in the entertainment industry, they literally don't care about anything else. else. But still, only time will tell in regards to what Masicka will do. And because of how talented he is, I still have faith in him. So until that time comes, go and watch the full advanced breakdown we did of the other songs in the clash, which also includes the criminal breakdown of what happened with Tommy Lee's daughter and the man who was allegedly responsible. Subscribe to the channel for when the next song drops, and as always, until next time, the